You're not getting out of this alive! Fuck! I'm bleeding! Stand and fight!
Where the hell am I? I don't know where the heck I'm at. Like, where am I supposed to go? I don't know where I'm at.
Stand and fight!
Hello everybody and welcome back to a little bit more Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where we have Hardcore Henry has returned. So really quickly, what is Hardcore mode in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? What it is that you do not have fast travel in the game anymore. You cannot find out where you're at on the map, and things are a little bit tougher in the game overall. Also that you have to pick 3 negative perks to have from this list of 10 to start play the entire game that you cannot remove, so it makes the game a little more challenging. But the real challenge is that you got to pick all 10 negative perks and play with that, the full negative perks. But what I'm going to go over today is all the negative perks that you could pick, and also strategies that you want to use to probably neutralize a lot of these negative perks. Some of these negative perks you can easily, knock out here and there, but some of them are a little bit more difficult, but I'll kind of give you strategies here and there for your own gameplay. So let's go over this and see how this works out. Starting off with probably the easiest negative perk to pick, if you have to pick top 3, this is Picky Eater. So all it really does is that it makes your food in your inventory spoil 25% faster, and you gain about half the meat from gutting animals and stuff like that. Essentially, food in this game is not a problem. Food being spoiled, you can really neutralize this a lot by just having dried food in your pocket. Dried food doesn't expire. Inns everywhere, you can grab food, you can steal food. This is not an issue to have off of your Picky Eater. Is not that difficult. So if you're gonna pick a negative perk, this is probably my top negative first one to pick, because this is easily to handle. The best way to deal with it, like I said, have dried food. You can make your own dried food by using the drying shelves. You can find these all throughout Bohemia on the map. Go there, dry your own foods. You could dry apples, do that. It's perfectly fine. This is probably the easiest thing you could negative perk you do. This is not even a challenging one. The next negative perk that I would take is Henry Henry. All this really does, the main effects, is that all food will fill you up 20% less, your digestion rate increases 50%. So essentially you get hungry more often. There's also the other effects too, is that starvation will actually reduce your speech and charisma and everything else, yada yada yada. But most of the time you're not starving. Henry Henry is a pretty easy one to fill because, again, food is pretty plentiful out there. You can just go to inns, you can buy food, steal food, do whatever you want. But the main part too is that there's actually a perk that you have that's in your vitality. It's level 6 that you're going to get it. So basically at the beginning of the game, essentially it gives you a 30% nourishment decreasement. So basically it almost neutralizes this debuff. Not quite, but it makes it a lot more manageable. But at the same time, it's actually a buff in my own opinion, because I really do like drinking potions like crazy. This is not even a problem. Take this perk, you'll love it. Alright, so going on to the next negative perk, this one is actually a really fun one. Somnambulant. This is actually a really funny one to do. So what it does is that you lose more energy as you go through the day, but also when you sleep, you can actually do sleepwalk and end up into a random area on the map. It actually leads to some pretty funny locations that you might end up entirely on the map, and without the marker, you might not know where you're at, so you might just be lost. It can be a little bit annoying, but as a negative perk goes, it's more of a small nuisance than actually making the game that much harder, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Honestly, this would be a fun one to take. It can lead to some interesting things. I know in the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, it was a blast for the most part, led to some interesting things. There is no strategy to deal with this other than, not get lost and just be able to find markers out there. This next negative perk is called Bad Back. This one is going to be interesting, but I don't really foresee it being that difficult. So what it does, it says that you generally carry less, and that when you bend over to pick up herbs or mushrooms, there's a small chance you strained your back and left hobbling for a while. They don't really say what does it mean by hobbling, meaning that you just walk slower, which if that's only the case, honestly, when you're picking herbs, you're not fighting, so what's the dealio? So that is not a problem. You can deal with injuries pretty easily and not get into a fight if you're injured because you're picking flowers. The carry capacity problem, they don't say what is the lower carry capacity for that. I mean, already Henry's a tank because near max strength with all the perks that you have, you're about 490, I believe. That's the max that you have for their carry weight capacity is. And Henry's basically a horse, so it doesn't matter. So even if they knock off 100 carry capacity, Henry could still carry a ton. He has way too much carry capacity. So I don't really see this perk, negative debuff being a problem. But, as other ones go, I wouldn't pick this for your 3. But it's easy to manage in my case, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Moving on to the next negative perk, we're going to be talking about heavy-footed, which is actually going to be pretty easy to deal with. Your shoes wear out faster, and you make more noise. This is not a problem. I wear spurs and plate mail with my entire playthrough, and I still got 25 noise. It doesn't really make too much difference. And also, what's really good, if your shoes do wear out, you can raise your craftsmanship up quite a bit. And there's a perk called 7 League Boots. When you repair your boots, your sprinting goes up. So, or costs less to actually, use. So, it's a win-win. So basically, you get the repair. So all you gotta do is carry around a bunch of cobbler, kits. Carry around some cobbler kits, and you're good. This perk is not even that big of a deal. It's more of a nuisance than anything else. Numbskull. All your experience gains 20% slower. What do you want me to say about this? There's no strategy other than this than just go out and beat people up. That's all I can say. There's nothing to think about that. I mean, there is the Henry Fox potion you can make at level 16 alchemy. That gives you 50% extra experience for 2 days, but, that's probably the only strategy you can do. Hey, shut up, you. Get down from here. This is a perfect segue into the next negative perk, Punchable Face. So coming across travelers on the road is more dangerous as they get into fights. So basically, enemies will never surrender and they're more confident, whatever else. Most of the time, NPCs, when they surrender, are usually more dangerous because they sometimes surrender, but then they come back to start fighting you and get a free hit. So really, that last part's not a problem. Now, what they mean by coming across travelers on the road is more dangerous, maybe they're just more willing to fight you, or maybe there's more of them. Not sure what this means, but honestly, fighting this game, you can avoid most of the fights on here by just avoiding the roads. So, especially since you're not fast traveling, you can just go around people a lot of times. So, I wouldn't recommend taking this for one of the basic 3 negative perks. This one seems a little bit more difficult. And speaking of difficult perks, this one probably seems one of the more difficult ones to have out there, or at least what makes the hardcore mode really difficult. And this is Bashful. Basically, you can't ask for directions. It's more difficult to find your way around. Besides, you're too shy to speak to girls at the bathhouse and request all the services. The bathhouse parts are not too bad. Also, speech skill is gained slower, so that could be a little pain. But honestly, the hard part on there is not going to be able to ask for directions. So essentially, when you look at the map, you can see a little icon. If you ask people on the road or whatever else, they'll tell you where you're at on the map. And this will be extremely useful because in hardcore mode, you cannot see your icon on the map, or you don't have no idea where you're at. So being able to ask people and they'll pinpoint you exactly where you're at is a big deal. Because otherwise, the other way to get around this is basically using map markers on here, like this shrine and that church in the background. If you look at your map, you can see there's a drying rack, there's a shrine, there's a church, and you kind of go from there because you won't have your little icon on there. So this perk's gonna be pretty hard, so watch out for that. I mean, you really don't need to ask for directions. You could just smack people around till they start telling you. Give me here, lady. Shut up, lady. Tell me where I'm at. Well, either way. And since we briefly touched upon it, the next negative perk is Sweaty. And Sweaty sounds like one of the harder perks to deal with. So basically, you get dirtier faster, which is like, how much faster can Henry get dirty already? But not only that, you start to smell twice as fast, and also when you do smell, it's twice as far away. So, it's a pain in the butt to deal with. And also, this is probably the worst part, is that perfume does not give you any positive perks. Perfume is god tier. Like, this is a weak lion perfume, and it gives you 3 extra charisma for a weak one, but like the top tier perfumes are amazing. Just essentially they're a charisma bomb. From my understanding on here is that you cannot use any of these perfumes when have this negative perk active. I mean, luckily charisma is not that bad to deal with. Like, I played the entire first game without a shirt and any real pants on, and my charisma was perfectly fine for the most part. So, if you get the right armor and you have the charisma stacked other ways, you'll be fine. And finally, the last negative perk, Menace. Once you're branded for a crime, the effect is permanent. And basically, if you're caught for any other serious crime, it could lead to your execution. So what's more, the guards will punish you more severely, and the consequences of these punishment will be more intense. So essentially, don't get caught by the guards. This might lead to a lot of save scumming and stuff like that. I'm kind of curious of how this is going to work out, because I liked how to play my Henry as a menace upon society, so this might either be really tough or kind of like, you know, it's just something just not to deal with the judicial system at all. Henry is justice. He just goes around and punch whatever else he wants. But really, it's not too hard to kind of deal with this debuff if it's just kind of like, you know, don't get caught for crime, because really you could stay away from a town for about a week or two and they'll kind of forget that you did something. So you can just go around from there. I don't know the exact dates and all that stuff, but you know, don't even bother talking to the guards and just go about your ways. So, and there you go. There's all the negative perks for hardcore mode that's coming up for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Honestly, do not be intimidated by this list. It's a lot easier than you think, and there's a lot of different ways I suggested that you can kind of get around. So you only need to pick out 3 to actually get the achievement for hardcore mode, but I believe there's another achievement for having the full negative perks. You might also just do the full negative perks all the way, because 3 of them are alright. All of them will make the game challenging, but not too bad. So you can get around it. I have faith in you. The beginning of the game will be tough, but later in the end, towards the end, it'll be fine. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you actually take part in hardcore mode. It's going to be great, and I believe it's going to change the way you look at the game. So please play and see what happens. Until then, I hope you have a good one. Have a good one, and goodbye. Enjoy the hardcore mode.